all crime rate is up. You could literally call this son of a bitch a crime lord. Every policy that this motherfucker continues to push and everything that he backs and creates and is a part of is nothing but pure cancer.
Stop attacking! He's a friend!
Aim for the head if you can find it.
George Soros says he has no intention of stopping his funding for leftist DAs. I mean, for this douchebag to not be in jail at this point, it's laughable. This whole thing is an absolute and complete joke. Left-wing billionaire, financier, and philanthropist George Soros has been heavily criticized for funding the campaigns of progressive candidates for local district attorney races. Many of these candidates have gone on to win their races in cities like Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, and Philadelphia before adopting what critics have called soft on crime policies they blame for spikes in violence, murder, and thefts, and they've skyrocketed. But rather than apologize for his actions, Soros has defiantly doubled down and is insisting that he has no plans to stop funding such candidates despite the backlash, even in Democrat-run cities full of liberals. Of course, for anyone to not recognize the correlation in a left-wing shithole city, like you're inviting the plague in. You're inviting a plague of crime to fill that vacuum when it's allowed to run rampant and unaccounted for. Capital Research Center said that since 2016, the organization's data crunchers identified some $29 million in funding provided by Soros through a personal network of political action committees performed specifically to back left-wing DA candidates. In an op-ed for the Wall Street Journal, Soros said he won't be cutting back funding anytime soon. I have supported the election and more recently the re-election of prosecutors who support reform. Reform, you mean destruction. You mean destroy. He calls it reform, but it's actual destruction. I have done it transparently and I have no intention of stopping, he wrote. Our system is rife with injustices that make us all less safe. You mean you have less power than ever because everybody is onto you. That's what you really mean. The idea that we need to choose between justice and safety is false. In spite of hard evidence that crime has gone up significantly in cities whose DAs he helped finance have softened enforcement by curbing prosecutions and seeking far less jail time for a range of offenses. And so the less people are punished, the more that they commit crimes because they don't have accountability. Again, it's the lack of accountability. They reinforce each other. If people trust the justice system, it will work. And if the system works, public safety will improve. Public safety has become a rotting, rusting bridge that is falling, and it is continuously becoming dust. It's becoming dust underneath it, and its entire structure is starting to collapse into the waters of complete and total degradation. Some politicians and pundits have tried to blame recent spikes in crime on the policies of reform-minded prosecutors. You mean corruption-minded prosecutors. The research I've seen says otherwise. The research that we've seen, we don't have to research anything to see what's actually happening. For you to sit there and say you've done research on these things and saying that somehow your magical way is the way, we've seen the reward. We've seen horrifying policy. We have seen what happens. And you don't mind stepping on top of everyone else that receives nothing but pure and total destruction to their way of life. Soros's piece comes on the heels of one of the DAs whose campaign he funded, Chelsea Bourdon, being recalled by voters in San Francisco. Bourdon's landslide loss should send a clear message across the nation, yet not holding criminals accountable is a dereliction of duty. So thank God this guy was recalled. Recently deposed Chelsea Bourdon in San Francisco, violent crimes up 4%. Year-to-date, property crimes up 8.2%. Year-to-date, total crime rate up 7.8%. So the people that he's endorsing are just allowing more crime to go up. The proof is in the pudding there. The evidence is right in front of your face. Alvin Bragg, Manhattan, major crime rate up 43%. Gascon, Los Angeles, up 7.7%. I mean, this is just across the board. All crime rate is up. This guy, I mean, you could literally call this son of a bitch a crime lord. Every policy that this motherfucker continues to push, and everything that he backs and creates and is a part of, is nothing but pure cancer to society. That's all it is. It creates nothing but disharmony, division, and that will fuel nothing but misery to the lives of everyone. In his op-ed for the Wall Street Journal, Soros hit upon a familiar talking point for left-wing social commentators. The U.S. system is allegedly racist. Okay. Well, prove it. See, you have no proof of that because there actually is no racism in the system itself. There's only division. There's only getting the people to feel like they're being racism against. What they need is a good kick in the balls because their lives are actually pretty amazing, and they're being told that they're awful. We need to acknowledge that the black people in the U.S. are 5 times as likely to be sent to jail as white people. That is an injustice that undermines our democracy. So, of course, undermines our democracy, repeating the same talking bullshit that they have said for years. We spend $81 billion every year keeping around 2 million people in prisons and jails, and you have spent how much? Cheating and funding nothing but continuous opposition to reality, opposition to law and order, and opposition to everything that we hold dear. We need to invest more in preventing crime with strategies that work, deploying mental health professionals in crisis situations. Of course, that means no police, and of course, when you don't have any police, then you have more crime. Essentially, the defund the police, of course, just skyrockets the crime, and it's a endless cycle. And I can't believe this guy still continues to lie like this. Investing in youth job programs, I'm for that. I'm absolutely for that. And creating opportunities for education behind bars, I am for that as well. This reduces the likelihood that those prisoners will commit new crimes after release. I do agree about those. But you could easily fund those things by yourself. But instead, what do? You fund politicians who do nothing but create and enhance crime. This agenda aiming at both safety and justice is based on both common sense and evidence. No, it's based on your agenda, which is actual crime. Your agenda is actual crime because you want to undermine the people. You want to undermine the majority of the American people. It's not popular. It's not effective. These are things that are the very antithesis of the American goal. The goal is not defunding the police, but restoring trust between the police and the policed. A partnership that fosters the solving of crimes. And, okay, but everything you do creates more crime. Everything you do creates more crime. Everything. Everybody you fund, every politician you fund to do this creates more crime. So you're saying these things are, that should be important for society, but you are doing the very opposite.